For thousands of years, humanity has asked one question: what is consciousness? Is it a mere byproduct of the brain, a fleeting illusion, or something far more profound, an eternal force that extends beyond time and space? Today, modern science struggles to answer what ancient mystics seemed to understand intuitively. But what if the wisdom of the past holds the missing pieces to the puzzle of human awareness? The ancient and the modern? The divide between ancient spiritual traditions and modern neuroscience appears vast. One relies on subjective experience, intuition, and transcendence. The other is grounded in empirical data, experimentation, and reductionist logic. Yet, as we peel back the layers, we find striking parallels between mystical teachings and contemporary scientific discoveries. Ancient sages and philosophers, whether from the temples of Egypt, the monasteries of Tibet, or the forests of the Amazon, spoke of consciousness as the fundamental essence of reality. Their practices, from meditation to ritualistic vision quests, were designed to unlock deeper states of awareness. Meanwhile, modern neuroscientists map the brain, searching for the precise mechanisms that generate thought, self-awareness, and perception. The need for an integrated approach. If we want to understand consciousness, we cannot rely solely on material explanations or spiritual traditions alone. Both perspectives offer essential insights, yet neither is complete by itself. Mystics describe transcendent experiences that seem to reveal a reality beyond the senses, while neuroscientists study the physical processes that correlate with those experiences. Could these two worlds be describing the same phenomenon in different languages? The journey ahead. In this series, we will explore the intersection of ancient wisdom and modern science, tracing how humanity's understanding of consciousness has evolved. From the Vedic sages to quantum physicists, from Buddhist monks to neuroscientists, we will uncover the surprising connections between mystical experiences and cutting-edge research. What did the ancients know that we have forgotten? What secrets of the mind have been lost in time? And could rediscovering them change not only how we see the world, but what is consciousness? Is it simply the result of electrical impulses in the brain, or is it something deeper, something that extends beyond the physical body? Throughout history, different cultures have offered strikingly different answers. From the wisdom of ancient mystics to the precision of modern neuroscience, the definition of consciousness remains one of the greatest mysteries of human existence. Ancient perspectives on consciousness. Long before the rise of modern science, civilization sought to understand the nature of awareness. In the Vedic tradition, consciousness was seen as the foundation of reality itself, described in the Upanishads as Brahman, the infinite, formless awareness that permeates all things. The Buddhists spoke of citta, a constantly changing flow of awareness shaped by perception and mental formations. In Taoist philosophy, consciousness was not something separate from nature but an aspect of the ever-unfolding Tao, the fundamental force that moves through all existence. Similarly, in indigenous traditions, consciousness was often seen as a shared experience between humans, animals, and even the land itself, a web of awareness that connected all life. Across these traditions, one idea emerged repeatedly: consciousness is not confined to the brain but is instead a fundamental aspect of the universe. Modern scientific views. In contrast, modern neuroscience sees consciousness as an emergent property of the brain, a process generated by neural activity. Scientists study brain waves, cognitive functions, and the way the mind constructs reality based on sensory inputs. The dominant theory in neuroscience suggests that consciousness arises from the interactions between billions of neurons, much like a complex computer processing information. Yet, despite these advancements, science has yet to fully explain how the brain produces subjective experience. This dilemma is known as the hard problem of consciousness, a term coined by philosopher David Chalmers. Why do we experience the world in a personal, vivid way rather than simply functioning as biological machines? Why does the color red feel like red? Why does music evoke emotion? These are questions modern science still cannot fully answer. Where the two worlds meet. Interestingly, some physicists and neuroscientists are beginning to challenge the materialist view of consciousness. Quantum mechanics has revealed that the act of observation influences reality, leading some to question whether consciousness plays a more fundamental role in the fabric of existence. Theories such as panpsychism, which suggests that consciousness is a basic property of all matter, echo ancient philosophical ideas from the East. Moreover, recent studies on meditation, psychedelics, and altered states of awareness indicate that consciousness is far more flexible and expansive than previously thought. Could this mean that ancient mystics were correct in their belief that consciousness is not just a byproduct of the brain but something deeper, something that exists beyond the physical form? The search for a unified theory. Despite their differences, both ancient wisdom and modern science are attempting to answer the same question: what is the true nature of consciousness? As we move forward, we will explore how the mystical traditions of the past align with new discoveries in neuroscience, quantum physics, and cognitive science. Is consciousness an illusion, a byproduct of evolution, or the fundamental? Across cultures and throughout history, individuals have reported profound mystical experiences, moments where the boundaries of the self dissolve, and a deeper, ineffable reality emerges. These experiences have shaped entire civilizations, influenced spiritual traditions, and continue to captivate modern scientists. But what exactly happens during a mystical experience? Is it a glimpse into a deeper truth, or just a complex illusion created by the brain? Common elements of mystical experiences. Despite the vast differences in religious and cultural backgrounds, mystics throughout history have described similar core elements in their experiences. A sense of unity, the feeling that everything is interconnected, that the self and the universe are one. A loss of ego, a detachment from personal identity, where the normal sense of self dissolves. Timelessness, the experience of existing outside of time, where past, present, and future merge into a singular moment. Deep insight or revelation, an overwhelming sense of understanding that goes beyond ordinary thought or language. Ecstasy and awe, an intense emotional experience, often described as overwhelming love, peace, or divine presence. From the meditative states of Buddhist monks to the ecstatic trances of Sufi mystics, these characteristics repeat across different traditions, suggesting that mystical experiences are not confined to any one religion or philosophy. The role of meditation, prayer, and altered states. Ancient mystics did not stumble upon these experiences by chance. They developed specific practices to induce them, refining techniques that allowed them to access deeper states of consciousness. Meditation, from the mindfulness practices of Buddhism to the deep contemplations of Christian monks, meditation has long been used to quiet the mind and dissolve the ego. Prayer and chanting, many mystical traditions use repetitive prayers, mantras, or chants to shift awareness and enter altered states. Sufi whirling, Gregorian chanting, and Vedic mantra recitations all serve as pathways to transcendence. Fasting and isolation, many seekers have withdrawn from society, engaging in fasting or prolonged solitude to deepen their connection to the divine or uncover hidden aspects of consciousness. Psychedelic rituals, indigenous shamans and spiritual seekers have long used plant-based psychedelics, such as ayahuasca, peyote, and psilocybin mushrooms, as tools to access visionary states and connect with higher realms of consciousness. Historical mystics and their revelations. Throughout history, figures from diverse backgrounds have described mystical encounters that reshaped their understanding of existence. Rumi, the 13th century Sufi poet and philosopher, spoke of divine love and unity, often describing his experiences as emerging with the infinite. Meister Eckhart, a Christian mystic of the Middle Ages, Eckhart spoke of the deep silence within, where the soul meets God beyond all words and images. Laozi, the founder of Taoism, Laozi described a way of being in harmony with the Tao, the universal force that flows through all things. Plotinus, the Neoplatonic philosopher, detailed experiences of ascending beyond the material world to unite with the One, an ultimate source of all reality. Each of these mystics, though separated by time and culture, shared strikingly similar descriptions of their encounters with consciousness beyond the self. Parallels with modern science. In recent years, researchers in neuroscience and psychology have begun studying mystical experiences, finding intriguing correlations with brain activity. Studies on meditation, psychedelics, and near-death experiences suggest that certain brain states, particularly those linked to decreased activity in the default mode network, may correspond with the dissolution of the ego and an expanded sense of awareness. Some scientists propose that mystical experiences are the result of neural misfirings, hallucinations, or biochemical changes in the brain. Others argue that they may reveal something deeper about the nature of consciousness itself. If these states provide access to levels of awareness beyond ordinary perception, could they hold the key to understanding what consciousness truly is? What happens when the mind moves beyond ordinary consciousness? For centuries, mystics and seekers have explored altered states of awareness, describing profound insights, heightened perception, and a deep sense of unity with the universe. Today, neuroscience and psychology are beginning to uncover what happens in the brain during these experiences. Could altered states of consciousness provide a key to understanding the true nature of awareness? The brain in altered states. Modern science has identified specific changes in brain function that occur when individuals enter altered states of consciousness. These states can be induced through meditation, deep focus, psychedelics, near-death experiences, and even spontaneous mystical events. Key neurological patterns include reduced activity in the default mode network, DMN. This network is responsible for self-referential thinking, ego, and internal dialogue. When it quiets down, the sense of self dissolves, leading to feelings of unity and transcendence. Increased connectivity across brain regions. Studies show that during mystical states, different parts of the brain communicate in ways that do not occur in normal waking consciousness, leading to enhanced perception and insight. Higher gamma wave activity. Brain scans of advanced meditators reveal heightened gamma wave activity, which is associated with deep focus, heightened awareness, and moments of profound realization. Alterations in serotonin and dopamine levels. Many altered states involve increased neurotransmitter activity, creating shifts in perception, mood, and cognitive flexibility. These scientific discoveries mirror what ancient traditions have described for centuries: profound shifts in consciousness that allow access to new realms of experience. Meditation and its effects on the mind. One of the oldest and most studied methods of altering consciousness is meditation. Different traditions use different techniques, but the results are often similar. Mindfulness meditation, found in Buddhist traditions, this practice cultivates present moment awareness and detachment from thoughts, leading to heightened perception. Transcendental meditation, a technique involving repeated mantras that quiet the mind and allow access to deeper states of consciousness. Vipassana meditation, a practice of deep observation, where awareness of sensations and thoughts leads to a direct experience of impermanence and non-duality. Scientific research on meditation reveals structural changes in the brain, including increased gray matter in regions associated with attention, emotional regulation, and self-awareness. Long-term meditators often report a diminished sense of personal identity and an increased feeling of connection to the world around them. Psychedelics and the expansion of consciousness. Throughout history, various cultures have used plant-based psychedelics to access expanded states of consciousness. Today, researchers are rediscovering their potential for understanding the mind. Psilocybin, magic mushrooms, known for producing experiences of ego dissolution, interconnectedness, and deep personal insight. LSD and mescaline, used in scientific studies to explore consciousness, these substances often induce heightened perception and synesthesia. Ayahuasca and DMT, traditional Amazonian plant medicine that facilitates visions, encounters with perceived higher intelligences, and deep spiritual transformations. Brain imaging studies show that psychedelics produce effects similar to deep meditation, reducing ego-centered brain activity and increasing neural connectivity. Some scientists propose that these substances temporarily open the mind to a broader spectrum of reality, challenging the idea that ordinary perception represents the full extent of human awareness. Near-death experiences and the nature of awareness. Another phenomenon that provides insight into altered states is the near-death experience, NDE. People who have undergone NDEs often describe a sensation of leaving the body and observing their surroundings, moving through tunnels or entering a vast, luminous space, encounters with non-physical beings or a presence of pure love, a life review, where past experiences are relived with deep understanding. Neuroscientists attempt to explain these experiences as the result of oxygen deprivation, endorphin release, or brain shutdown. Yet many NDE reports contain verifiable details that challenge purely materialist explanations. Some researchers suggest that consciousness may not be confined to the brain, but instead exists as a fundamental part of reality itself. The limits of ordinary awareness. Everyday consciousness is limited by biological perception. The human brain filters out vast amounts of sensory information, creating a structured reality that allows us to function in the world. Altered states, whether induced by meditation, psychedelics, or extreme experiences, suggest that there is much more to reality than what the ordinary mind perceives. What if these states of consciousness are not just hallucinations but windows into deeper truths? What if the experiences of mystics, meditators, and those who have touched the edges of death reveal aspects of reality that modern science is only beginning to explore? Who are you? The answer seems obvious: you are an individual with thoughts, emotions, and a personal history. But what if this sense of self is an illusion? Across spiritual traditions and modern neuroscience, there is a growing understanding that the individual self may not be as real or stable as it appears. If the self is an illusion, then what remains? The concept of the self in ancient traditions. Throughout history, many wisdom traditions have taught that the personal identity we cling to is not our true nature. Buddhism and anatta, no self. The Buddha taught that there is no fixed, independent self. What we call I is simply a collection of thoughts, memories, and experiences constantly changing. Clinging to this illusion leads to suffering. Advaita Vedanta and non-duality. According to this Indian philosophical system, the self is not separate from the universe. The true nature of being is Brahman, the infinite, undivided awareness beyond the illusion of individuality. Taoism and the flow of being. The Taoist perspective sees identity as part of the ever-changing natural flow of existence. The more one tries to define or hold onto a fixed sense of self, the more disconnected one becomes from the true nature of reality. These traditions suggest that what we call self is a temporary construct, a mask over a deeper, formless awareness. Modern neuroscience and the self as a construct. In recent decades, neuroscience has begun to uncover evidence that supports what mystics have long understood. The brain as a storyteller. Neuroscientific research suggests that the self is not a fixed entity but a mental construct. The brain continuously assembles a narrative from memories, sensory input, and emotions to create a coherent sense of I. The default mode network, DMN, an ego identity, the DMN, a network of brain regions responsible for self-referential thoughts, is most active when we think about our past, our identity, and our place in the world. Studies show that meditation and psychedelics suppress DMN activity, leading to experiences of self-transcendence. Split brain experiments and the illusion of unity. Studies on patients with severed corpus callosum, the bridge between the brain's hemispheres, reveal that different parts of the brain can function independently, creating separate streams of consciousness. This suggests that the unified self is not as singular as it seems. If the self is simply a mental construct, then what remains when the illusion collapses? Experiencing ego dissolution. Many spiritual and mystical traditions guide practitioners toward direct experiences of selflessness. These experiences often occur through deep meditation, psychedelics, or moments of extreme clarity. Those who experience ego dissolution often describe a complete loss of personal identity, a sense of merging with the universe or infinite awareness, a realization that thoughts and emotions arise spontaneously without a self controlling them, an overwhelming sense of peace and liberation. This state of awareness is often referred to as non-duality, the recognition that there is no separation between self and the external world. Everything in existence is in motion. From the smallest subatomic particles to the vast galaxies, nothing is truly still. Ancient traditions have long spoken of energy as the fundamental force of reality, while modern science reveals that vibration and frequency govern the structure of the universe. But what is the relationship between consciousness and energy? Could awareness itself be a form of vibration? Ancient traditions and the concept of energy. Long before the advent of modern physics, Spiritual traditions describe the universe in terms of energy flows, frequencies, and vibrations. Qi, Kai, in Taoism, in Chinese philosophy and medicine, Qi is the life force that moves through all things. Practices such as Tai Chi and acupuncture are based on harmonizing this energy. Prana in Hinduism, in the Vedic traditions, prana is the universal energy that sustains life. It moves through the body's energy centers, or chakras, and can be cultivated through breathwork and meditation. Kundalini energy, a powerful force described in Tantra, Kundalini is seen as a dormant spiritual energy that rises through the spine, leading to heightened awareness and mystical experiences. Shamanic traditions and vibrational healing. Indigenous cultures around the world use drumming, chanting, and dance to alter consciousness and connect with unseen forces. These practices suggest that sound and movement influence energy states. These traditions imply that consciousness is not separate from energy, it is shaped by it, moved by it, and perhaps even composed of it. Modern science and the reality of vibration. Physics now confirms that vibration is fundamental to existence. Quantum mechanics and wave-particle duality. Subatomic particles do not exist as static objects but behave as waves of probability. Reality itself is structured by oscillations and fluctuations. Resonance and frequency. Everything, including the human body and brain, operates at specific frequencies. Resonance occurs when frequencies synchronize, leading to enhanced effects in matter and energy. The Schumann resonance. The Earth emits a natural frequency of around 7.83 Hz, which is closely linked to human brainwave states associated with deep meditation and relaxation. Brainwaves and consciousness. Different states of awareness correspond to different brainwave frequencies. Delta waves, 0.5 to 4 Hz deep sleep, unconscious states. Theta waves, 4 to 8 Hz dreams, meditation, deep intuition. Alpha waves, 8 to 14 Hz relaxed awareness, creative states. Beta waves, 14 to 30 Hz active thinking, problem solving. Gamma waves, 30 plus Hz heightened perception, mystical experiences. This suggests that consciousness itself operates through vibrational frequencies, shifting based on attention, emotion, and external stimuli. The connection between consciousness and frequency. If consciousness is linked to vibration, then certain practices may allow individuals to tune into different states of awareness. Sound and music. Ancient traditions have long used sound as a tool for shifting consciousness. Mantras, drumming, and singing bowls create vibrational patterns that influence mental states. Binaural beats and brainwave entrainment. Modern research shows that listening to specific frequencies can synchronize brain activity, inducing deep meditation, creativity, or even altered states of awareness. Breathwork and energy flow. Practices like pranayama, holotropic breathwork, and Wim Hof method demonstrate that controlled breathing can shift consciousness by altering energy flow and brain function. If consciousness is fundamentally vibrational, then the way we interact with energy, sound, and frequency may shape our perception of reality itself. Does consciousness arise from the brain, or is it something greater, something that extends beyond the physical body? For centuries, mystics and philosophers have described consciousness as a universal field rather than a byproduct of neural activity. Now, cutting-edge research in physics and neuroscience is challenging the long-held assumption that awareness is confined to the brain. Could consciousness exist independently of matter? Ancient views on non-local consciousness. Long before scientific inquiry, ancient traditions described consciousness as something beyond the limits of the physical body. Vedantic and yogic traditions, the Upanishads, speak of Atman, the true self, as a fragment of the universal consciousness, Brahman. This suggests that individual awareness is not separate but a localized expression of a greater whole. Buddhism and the mind stream. Some Buddhist schools teach that consciousness does not begin or end with birth and death. Instead, it flows like a stream, existing beyond physical form. Shamanic and indigenous beliefs. Many indigenous traditions describe consciousness as interconnected with the natural world, capable of existing outside the body and communicating across time and space. Western mystical thought. Neoplatonists, Christian mystics, and Kabbalists have all suggested that consciousness originates from a higher, non-material realm. These traditions point to the idea that the brain may not generate consciousness but rather receive or filter it, an idea that is now gaining attention in modern science. Scientific challenges to materialist consciousness. For much of modern history, science has assumed that consciousness is a product of brain activity. However, several areas of research now suggest that awareness may not be confined to the physical body. Near-death experiences, NDEs, many people who have been declared clinically dead report detailed consciousness experiences, including seeing their surroundings, encountering beings of light, and undergoing life reviews. Some of these accounts have been verified by medical staff, challenging the assumption that consciousness ceases when brain activity stops. Out-of-body experiences, OBEs. Studies on OBEs suggest that individuals can perceive environments from perspectives outside their physical location, often with accuracy that defies conventional explanations. Remote viewing experiments. Research conducted by government and independent institutions has documented cases of individuals accessing information about distant locations without any known sensory connection. The brain as a receiver, not a generator. Some neuroscientists and physicists propose that the brain acts more like a radio receiver than a generator of consciousness, filtering a greater field of awareness into individual perception. If consciousness is non-local, this could mean that awareness is not bound by time, space, or physical form. Quantum physics and the observer effect. Quantum mechanics has revealed properties of reality that challenge traditional scientific models of consciousness. The observer effect experiments in quantum physics suggest that particles exist in a state of probability until they are observed, implying that consciousness plays a role in shaping reality. Quantum entanglement. Two particles can remain instantaneously connected across vast distances, hinting at a deeper, non-local structure to reality. Some theorists suggest that consciousness itself could function in a similar way, existing beyond the confines of space and time. Holographic universe theory. Some physicists propose that reality may function like a hologram, where information about the whole is encoded in every part. This aligns with ancient spiritual ideas that consciousness is a unified field, rather than an isolated phenomenon within individual minds. If consciousness is fundamental to the structure of reality, then it may not be confined to a single brain but instead function as a vast, interconnected field. For centuries, science and spirituality have been seen as opposing forces, one based on empirical observation, the other on direct experience of the unknown. Yet as scientific discoveries push the boundaries of what is possible, they begin to echo the insights of ancient mystics. Could the divide between these two ways of knowing be an illusion? The historical divide between science and mysticism. Throughout history, different cultures have sought to understand reality through two primary approaches. Mysticism and inner experience. Ancient traditions relied on meditation, contemplation, and altered states to explore consciousness. They claimed that reality was interconnected, beyond the limits of material perception. Science and empirical evidence. Modern science emerged as a method to explain the physical world through observation, experimentation, and logic, rejecting subjective experiences as unreliable. For centuries, these perspectives remained separate. Mysticism sought truth through intuition and insight, while science pursued knowledge through measurement and analysis. But as scientific discoveries expand, the line between these approaches is beginning to blur. Parallels between ancient wisdom and modern science. Despite their different methods, many of the insights of ancient mysticism find striking parallels in contemporary science. The interconnected universe. Mystics describe reality as a unified whole, where everything is connected at a fundamental level. Quantum physics suggests that particles remain entangled over vast distances, behaving as if they are part of a single system. The illusion of time and space. Eastern traditions describe time as an illusion, with past, present, and future existing simultaneously. Einstein's theory of relativity reveals that time is not fixed but depends on the observer, challenging the idea of linear time. The nature of consciousness. Mystical traditions teach that consciousness is primary and gives rise to the material world. Some scientists now explore consciousness as a fundamental force rather than a byproduct of brain activity. These parallels suggest that ancient wisdom and modern science may be describing the same reality from different perspectives. Scientific research on mystical states. In recent years, science has turned its attention to mystical experiences, seeking to understand what happens in the brain and body during altered states of consciousness. Neuroscientific studies on meditation research shows that meditation alters brain activity, reduces ego-driven thought, and enhances states of awareness associated with deep insight. Psychedelic research studies on substances like psilocybin and DMT show that they can induce experiences nearly identical to those described by mystics: ego dissolution, interconnectedness, and access to profound knowledge. Near-death experience research investigations into NDEs challenge the idea that consciousness is purely biological, as people report vivid experiences even when brain activity is nearly absent. These findings suggest that mystical experiences are not hallucinations or fantasies but genuine shifts in consciousness that reveal aspects of reality beyond ordinary perception. The future of consciousness studies. As science continues to explore the mysteries of consciousness, new fields of research are emerging that bring mysticism and science closer together. Quantum consciousness theories. Some scientists propose that consciousness operates at the quantum level, suggesting that awareness is not limited to the brain. The simulation hypothesis, the idea that reality may function like a simulation, aligns with ancient teachings that describe the physical world as a dream or illusion. Panpsychism and universal awareness. Growing interest in panpsychism, the idea that consciousness is a fundamental property of the universe, echoes mystical traditions that describe awareness as the fabric of reality. As these ideas develop, they challenge the materialist assumption that consciousness is merely an evolutionary byproduct. Instead, they open the possibility that consciousness is the foundation of existence itself. Reuniting science and spirituality. The growing intersection between ancient wisdom and modern science suggests that these two approaches were never truly separate. Both seek to understand reality, one through direct experience, the other through systematic observation. If science and mysticism describe the same truths in different languages, how can they work together? If consciousness is fundamental, what does this mean for the future of human understanding? If the boundaries between material and non-material reality are dissolving, what new possibilities emerge? The journey to understanding consciousness is far from over. The deeper we look, the more we realize that what was once dismissed as mysticism may, in fact, be the key to understanding the nature of reality itself. For centuries, humanity has sought to understand the nature of consciousness, reality, and existence itself. Ancient mystics turned inward, exploring the depths of awareness through direct experience, while modern science sought to explain the world through observation and measurement. Now, as these two paths converge, we stand on the edge of a new understanding, one that challenges everything we thought we knew about the mind, the universe, and our place within it. The journey through consciousness. Throughout this exploration, we have traced the evolution of human understanding. The quest for consciousness, the search for the fundamental nature of awareness, has spanned cultures and eras, from the wisdom of ancient sages to the laboratories of modern neuroscientists. The illusion of self. Many traditions and scientific discoveries point to the idea that the self is not fixed but a mental construct, dissolving upon deeper inquiry. Energy, vibration, and frequency. Consciousness appears to be intricately linked to energy and vibration, mirroring ancient teachings that describe the universe as a dynamic field of awareness. Non-local consciousness. The idea that consciousness may not be confined to the brain is gaining traction, suggesting that awareness exists beyond physical form. Bridging mysticism and science. The growing intersection between ancient wisdom and cutting-edge research is dissolving the perceived divide between spirituality and science. These insights do not provide final answers, but they offer a glimpse into a reality far greater than we once imagined. The implications of a new understanding. If consciousness is not just a product of the brain but something fundamental to the universe, what does this mean for our perception of reality? The nature of existence. If consciousness is primary, then reality may not be a collection of separate objects but an interconnected whole, where awareness is the foundation of all things. The illusion of separation. The belief in an isolated self has shaped much of human thought and behavior. If this perception is an illusion, then the way we relate to the world must change. The power of awareness. If consciousness influences reality at a fundamental level, then our thoughts, intentions, and states of being may shape the world in ways we are only beginning to understand. These ideas challenge deeply ingrained assumptions. If we are not separate individuals navigating a purely material world, but instead part of a vast, interconnected field of consciousness, then how we live, think, and perceive must evolve. A shift in perspective. This is not just an intellectual exercise. Those who experience deep states of awareness, whether through meditation, mystical experiences, or scientific inquiry, describe a fundamental shift in perspective. They no longer see themselves as isolated minds trapped in a body, but as participants in a vast, unfolding mystery. Mystics have spoken of unity for millennia. Scientists are now questioning the limits of material reality. Philosophers continue to explore the nature of being. All are converging on the same realization: consciousness is not merely a phenomenon within the universe, it may be the universe itself. The beginning of a new inquiry. This journey does not end here. In many ways, it is just beginning. As humanity continues to explore the depths of awareness, new questions emerge. What role does consciousness play in shaping reality? If the self is an illusion, what is the true nature of identity? Can science ever fully explain what mystics have long understood? How do we apply this knowledge to transform our understanding of life and existence? The answers may not come easily, but one thing is certain: the search for truth is far from over. This is not the end. It is the awakening of a new paradigm.